So you're going to buy a property as an investment and you're trying to decide if you're going to flip it or BRRRR it. This is your host, Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate. And every year people have that dream they're going to flip their first house. And it's really an interesting time because there's some opportunities out there to do it. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot of people doing that and competing in homes. And there are times where I've seen the price actually get driven up so high, there really isn't a profit left over, which leaves very few options for the ones doing it. And sometimes they end up going a little bit different way. But not everybody is familiar with the BRRRR method. There's a book, BRRRR, 4 R's. And what it stands for is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And a growing number of people are looking into that method. And it's not that it's a new thing, but I think it's getting repopularized. And there's some really good reasons why. So if you were to buy a property, renovate it, and flip it, at some point in time in the year, there's going to be a sale and a profit. At least you would hope. I mean, that's why you start out, is to make a profit. And if you do this round trip within 1 year or less, let's say less than 1 year, you're going to pay capital gains on any profits at your ordinary income rate. So what does that mean? It means that if you make $30,000 profit and you make $70,000 at your JOB, then you got $100,000 now in taxable income at whatever rate that is, probably 25 or so percent. If you were to wait a whole year and 1 day, then you could be subject to long-term capital gains, which currently is 15%. So the difference in that profit, if you will, is 10% on the gain. So 25% ordinary income in that example. And if you made $30,000, it's $7,500 in tax. So 25% of your profit goes out the window. You make $22,500 instead of $30,000. I think the math is pretty easy on it. Now, if you take it a year and a day, same $30,000 at 15%, it's $4,500 in taxes. So there's about a $3,000 difference in taxes, depending on which day that you actually close the sale. So if your renovation took a long time and you had a closing that was going to occur 11 months later, you might want to delay it for an extra month and get in the long-term capital gain side of things. So now the other side of this is what if? What if it was a light renovation and you can make the purchase? Sounds simple enough. Do the renovation. Maybe it takes 3 months. What if you put a tenant in there for a whole year and you had rent coming in with positive cash flow? It got you past the 1 year mark, and then you can elect to sell it then and get the long-term capital gains and maybe save yourself 10%, maybe even more in taxes, and let that compound. And if the tenant is doing really good and you can raise the rent and the solid cash flow, maybe you just keep the property and you keep renting it out in perpetuity. See, this is where the BRRRR method comes in because, again, supposing that you bought a home, let's just say $100,000, and you put $50,000 into it, right? Well, the down payment on $100,000, if you paid cash, it's easy. It's just $100 plus the $50 renovation, you're in for $150. If you had some financing involved, and let's say you put 20% down, well, now you've got $20,000 down payment, 30 renovations, you got $50,000 of cold hard cash and $100,000 mortgage or something that looks like that with some equity in there. So it's absolutely one way to do it with more cash out of pocket and then sell it. But if you did the BRRRR side of things, what you might be able to do is acquire the property however that you buy it, whether it's cash, a traditional finance, or some alternative finance program at a higher rate, or even hard money lender. And then you factor in the renovation cost, get the property nice, get it rented for what's good for the market area. And if you do a really nice job in a rental, you might get a premium on that. And then you go back to the bank and you refinance it. And if you had $150 into it, and let's just suppose for a minute it's now worth $200,000 in today's market, a lot of lenders would loan you 75% of the loan to value ratio. So if the new value of it became $200,000, 75% of that's $150. That's what you're going to get at closing. So you can get all your money back. pay off your mortgage. So if you had a mortgage and a $20,000 or $30,000 down payment in the same in rental, you could actually pay off the mortgage, you get all your money back, and then do it again. Wash, rinse, and repeat. And that's why they talk about the BRRRR method, BRRRR, so 4 R's. Buy, renovate, rent, then do the refinance, get all your cash back or a lot of it back that you started with, and then repeat the process. And for some people, when they do that, if they're out 30, 40, 50,000, but they get it all back after the refinance, now they're renting it. There's positive cash flow. Maybe they're making a few $100 a month and you got all your money back. That's a trade that a lot of people would make. And if you only rent it for 1 year, then you can save yourself on the tax side of the equation as well. So more and more people are at least looking into the BRRRR method. Now, not everybody is going to want to wait a whole year. Some people want to flip it, roll that cash over, and do it as many times as possible. Both ways work. And there isn't a right or wrong. There's plenty of books out there about how to flip a home. And the BRRRR method is actually a real book. Just type in BRRRR, 4 Hours, and you can buy that book, and then you can learn from or do the audio thing and just, let it play while you're driving around. But there's really good options out there on both sides of this equation. So, my 2 cents to you is it's an opportune time, an extremely opportune time to be in the market to buy and also sell property. And it might make sense to examine, if I'm going to purchase a home, whether or not it's a complete flip. Maybe it's just a renovation. It could just be put a roof on, or maybe add an HVAC. Maybe it's paint the house or change out a kitchen. It doesn't have to be like gut the house. It could just be a light renovation. But there is a way to do that and either turn a profit or, more to this conversation, rent it out with a positive cash flow, refinance and get all your money back, and then do it again. And this is how people acquire wealth. It's how people acquire properties and build out a portfolio. And I thought with the environment that we're in right now, it might make sense to share that information, and then you can choose to do what you think is the right thing with it. And for some, you might just want to stay on the fence and not ever do it. But at least now you understand how some of the other people are doing it. It's a super good time in real estate right now to buy and to sell. And these are some of the ways that people are taking advantage of this market. If you've got some questions, let us know in the comments below, and definitely subscribe. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.